BruceJamesSoccer@hotmail.com. For more information on varsity or to sign up for sub-varsity games, email BruceJamesSoccer@hotmail.com.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
Mac Jones is good. That's not the question. The question is he good enough to win repeatedly in this loaded AFC?
The stories that matter to you.
If I'm Xander Bogaerts, I need three things in order to get over that insulting contract offer.
This is your home for New England sports.
Jason Tatum, superstar. Book it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show on a pre-holiday Friday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We go up until 6:10, and then it's Red Sox baseball. Sox looking to take Game 2 against the Texas Rangers. What a game last night. I mean, seriously, I was ready to just be fuming for the rest of the night last night and bring it into today's show. And it was all erased in about 20 minutes. I mean, last night, so the Sox are down 8-3 at the end of the top of the eighth, right? So they go into the bottom half of the eighth. They're down 5 runs. At this point, they've missed opportunities to break it open in the fourth. They missed opportunities in the seventh. Reese McGuire, the double play. I mean, they were they couldn't throw strikes. Like, they were horrible for 7.5 innings. And it was all erased in a 20, 30-minute period. What a win last night. Sox win it 9-8. I know it doesn't really matter for the standings anymore, but it was just fun. For the first time in a while, Red Sox baseball was just fun. 6 runs in the final 2 innings, 4 runs in the last inning, the walk-off by Rob Refsnyder, the journeyman who's never had a walk-off before at the big league level. It was just fun. Good stuff. Red Sox baseball coming up about 40 minutes from now. We're going to talk with Danielle Marmer, a Vermont native, now an assistant coach with the Boston Bruins. The first ever on-ice female assistant coach in the Bruins history. She'll be with us at about 5:45. You can get in, as always, on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also watch us video-wise, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and my Twitter account.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts of the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. You know, I had fully intended to start today's show with something Patriots related, but at about noon today, we got some very big news. Very big and very bad news for the Boston Celtics. Danilo Gallinari, who they signed this year, and we loved that move. They signed him this offseason to a 2-year deal. He is now out for the year. Torn ACL. Danilo Gallinari out for the year. It's a tough blow. Gallinari was brought in along with Malcolm Brogdon to shore up some more bench scoring and lengthen the lineup and add some more veterans and give them more depth. We loved the move to bring in Gallinari. Well, he got hurt last week playing in a FIBA contest with Team Italy. At first, they thought the ACL was intact. They thought it was the meniscus. He was going to be back maybe by Thanksgiving. Not the case. Torn ACL. All indications are out for the season. And like I said, this is a tough blow. But for the Boston Celtics, it is not a death blow. Now, it's very tough for Gallinari individually, right? He's 34 years old. This could really impact the status of his career. But for the Celtics, it's bad news, but it is not crippling news. If we're thinking about the Celtics' chances to win an NBA championship, and that is now, after getting there, that is now our true goal. We want the Celtics to win an NBA title. If we're thinking through that prism, we have to understand that Danilo Gallinari was not going to be a big part of a Celtics playoffs or finals rotation. He's 34 years old, doesn't play a lot of defense. He was never going to be part of what this team was really accomplishing next June. So I wouldn't worry about that. This injury is tough, but it doesn't impact their ability to win in the playoffs and ultimately win a championship. What this does do, and what I would worry about, is how much this impacts the Celtics in the regular season. Gallinari was set to be instant offense off the bench, a guy who lengthened that bench. That is something you need in the regular season. I 1,000% believe that there was going to be a game where Danilo Gallinari came in and carried you. 24 against Orlando here, 29 against Oklahoma City there, 18 against Portland. He was going to be the kind of guy that could do that. And now you're not going to have that. You're going to miss the bench scoring. You're going to miss his handful of big games. And you're going to miss the minutes that he would occupy to keep your other guys fresh. Gallinari was not going to be a big playoff contributor, but he certainly could have saved Al Horford's legs in the regular season. He certainly could have given Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum more time off in the regular season, less minutes played. Now the Celtics are not going to have that. So this is not the world's biggest deal because it doesn't impact the Celtics in the playoffs, but it's also not nothing. This impacts the Celtics in the regular season. Guys got to play more minutes now, potentially. Guys got to do more. Guys you wanted to rest now don't have somebody else that they can fall back on. So it's not everything, but it's not nothing. It's a tough break for Gallinari. It's a tough break for the Celtics. You know what I would do, though? If I were the Boston Celtics and you are trying to minimize this loss, I would sign Carmelo Anthony. And there was a time where Carmelo Anthony was considered radioactive to teams. He was just a ball hog and blah, 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 doesn't play defense, not a winner, blah, 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 blah. If Carmelo Anthony wants to come here, I would sign Carmelo Anthony. I find him far more desirable than any of the other veteran options that are out there, and I find him a better option than just simply playing Grant Williams more. I mean, Grant Williams playing more is an option. Blake Griffin is out there. LaMarcus Aldridge is out here. Griffin's not a shooter like Gallinari is. He's not a shooter like Melo is. Neither is Aldridge. Montrezl Harrell. He's more of a rebounding guy. I'm not interested in those guys. I liked what Gallinari was going to bring to the team. The ability to score off the bench, the ability to shoot, the ability to stretch the floor. Those other guys don't really do that. Carmelo Anthony does that better than all of them. So Carmelo Anthony, to me, is no longer radioactive. To me, Carmelo Anthony is desirable. He's not quite the three-point shooter that Gallinari is, but he can offer you similar type of stuff. Carmelo's going to be 38 years old. He's certainly getting up there, but he played 26 minutes a game last year for the Lakers. He might not play 26 minutes a game for the Celtics, but if he is down for it, he's a guy that I want on this team. I do not want to have to be so reliant on Jason Tatum and on Jaylen Brown. We saw the effect of that in the playoffs last year. In the finals, Jason Tatum gassed by the NBA Finals against Golden State. If I can bring in people to reduce his wear and tear and reduce his minute load without sacrificing the team's ability, I'm all in. Malcolm Brogdon and Carmelo Anthony being, maybe Brogdon being your sixth guy and Anthony being your seventh or eighth guy who can play 16 minutes a night and maybe have a couple of games where he plays 28 minutes, I'm for that. I'm absolutely for that. Carmelo Anthony averaged 13 points per game last season. He shot 44% from the floor, 38% from three. If he can do that again, that would go a long way for the Celtics. Would go a long way for the Celtics. I know that in the playoffs, I'm going to have the dogs and the horses to compete. Brogdon, Smart, Tatum, Brown, Horford, Rob Williams. I got guys in the playoffs. I'm not looking at guys. Whoever I sign now, I'm not looking at them being playoff integral. I'm looking at them being regular season integral, and Carmelo Anthony can do that. Another veteran presence, a guy that Jason Tatum idolized and looked up to growing up. That can only help. A guy who can still get a bucket, who could score you double figures per game. This to me is a no-brainer. If he wants to be here, this might be his best chance to get a championship. Not winning a championship with the Lakers right now. So going back to LA, not going to win a championship. I don't know where Melo is at right now in terms of prioritizing things in his career. If he wants to just, score as much as possible and chase individual records, then he can do that and play for somebody. If he wants to win a title and be a part of a team setting and do something special, the Celtics can be that place. And if I'm Jason Tatum, I am walking into Ime Udoka's office. I am walking into Brad Stevens' office and saying, hey, Gallinari was going to do some good things for us. That's a tough loss. We need to replace him. Melo's the guy. Everybody wants to control the roster. If I'm Tatum, I'm walking into the offices of Ime Udoka and Brad Stevens, and I'm saying Carmelo Anthony is the guy. Veteran presence, bench scoring, can get a bucket, still play 26 minutes a game. To me, he checks all the boxes. If he wants to play for a winner, then the Celtics are the place to go. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Texter says Melo is a perfect call for Boston, Brady. I 100% agree. Thank you very much. You look at the other veterans out there, none of them have the name recognition of Carmelo Anthony, and I don't care as much about that. But the fact is, if we haven't heard of a lot of the other guys out there, I can't say that they're better fits than Melo. Then, I look at it, 13 points a game. If he could just do that again. I started thinking about the roster. If Tatum can average 24 a game, let's just say that, 24 a game. If Jalen can average 20 a game, that's 44. If Robert Williams can average 15, well, now that's 59. If Marcus Smart can average 14, well, now that's 73. If Al Horford can average 12, well, now that's 85. If Carmelo can average 13, that's 98. And then you got other guys like Peyton Pritchard and other guys on this roster. If Malcolm Brogdon can average 14, like now you're starting to if you just start calculating numbers, it's a pretty good overall rotation. If Melo just is what he was a year ago, I would make the call and I would have Jason Tatum advocate for it. Danilo Gallinari is a tough regular season loss. It's a loss that needs to be replaced. Carmelo Anthony is a logical replacement. Neither one of them plays a lot of defense. They're both a little long in the tooth. Neither one of them is going to be a huge playoff contributor. But regular season, you need numbers. You need guys. You need fifth starters who eat innings. That's what Melo can do. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Here on the unofficial last week of summer, we go from one winter sport to another. We go from basketball over to hockey. Danielle Marmer, Vermont native, making history by being hired by the Boston Bruins. Was she looking for that? She joins us next, right here on WDEV, AM and FM.
Your pets give so much. In return, you give them the very best pet foods from your local Guy's Farm and Yard stores. Premium quality brands like Life Stages, Taste of the Wild, Signature, Origin, Earthborn, Acana, and many more. Guy's has a huge new inventory of pet toys, treats, and accessories. They're your Wild Bird Center, too, all affordably priced at Guy's Farm and Yard, Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Taft Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road, St. Albans.
Make your home your retreat. Fill your favorite spaces with fresh air, warm sunlight, and calming connections with the outdoors. Marvin Windows and Doors are designed to promote happier, healthier spaces in your home. At RK Miles, we will walk you through how the beauty, thoughtful design features, and unparalleled performance of Marvin products can help you feel better in your home. Visit us at rkmiles.discovermarvin.com.
I was looking at some pictures with my mom the other day and was really struck by one shot. I was 11. It was my first school band performance, and I was beaming with pride. And Mom reminded me how I didn't stop talking about it for days. And now I'm so excited for my son starting his own musical journey. And just like they were for my mom and me, Ellis Music will be there to take care of everything. Ellis Music is local, family-owned, and rents and sells only high-quality instruments recommended by teachers. Ellis Music has a large selection of student models at discount prices. And with their rent-to-own program, discovering the right instrument is flexible and affordable with no long-term contracts. If your child doesn't take to the trumpet, swap it for a trombone or saxophone until they find the instrument they love. It's all part of Ellis's rent-to-own program, as is worry-free maintenance and repair. So if you'd like to bring the magic of music to your child's life, visit ellismusic.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Vermont Army National Guard. Aired by the Vermont Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Yeah.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball coming up at 6:10 against the Texas Rangers. We'll have the lineups for you right before that. But I want to transition over to Boston Bruins hockey because earlier this summer, the Boston Bruins made a historic hire, hiring Danielle Marmer to be their first ever female on-ice assistant coach. She's going to work in scouting and in player development, and she'll have an on-ice role. And Danielle Marmer is a Vermont native. Dorset, Vermont's own Danielle Marmer, making history with the Boston Bruins, and she is with us now on the Brady Farkas Show. Danielle, congratulations. Thanks for being with us. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm great.
Well, I appreciate you being with us, and obviously a historic hire for the Bruins, a great day for you when you found out you got the job. As I understand it, again, you're going to be working with a lot of Bruins prospects. Is this more of a role where you're floating around the organization between affiliates, or are you going to be at one space most of the year? Kind of take me through what your job responsibilities are.
It's going to be a little bit of both. I will be traveling around, getting to a lot of our prospects games. For the most part, we've got a lot of guys in NCAA at Harvard, BC, BU, Providence, and then obviously down in Providence with the Providence Bruins. So I will be mostly local, but I will be getting out to a lot of our prospects games.
Now, obviously, I don't think you're going to be doing a lot of coaching on the ice of players that are currently in NCAA hockey. So where does the on-ice component come from when you travel to the ECHL and AHL affiliates?
Yeah, exactly. So, my goal is to try to get on the ice at Providence once a week, once every other week. Right now, Adam McQuaid, who's the player development coordinator, that's his plan. So I kind of want to follow him and his lead on that for a bit. So that'll be the on-ice piece. It's primarily off-ice. It's going to be a lot of video, getting to games, communicating with our prospects, but the on-ice piece will be down at Providence.
You were in the Bruins organization through a kind of a coaching development program, as I understand it, last year. Was your goal always to get to the NHL specifically, or did you just kind of enter the program with the goal of becoming a better coach and learning more?
Yeah, I had zero intent. Not that I wasn't interested in it, but just didn't think that was a possibility. I didn't grow up seeing women in roles in the NHL. So I went into this program looking for an opportunity to better evaluate players and learn to rank and project where players would end up. At the time, I was in NCAA women's college hockey. And in my role in player development, I wasn't getting out recruiting. And so I wanted to, if coaching at the Division I level was something that I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that I had experience evaluating players. So that's why I got into the program. why I was interested in it. I had no intent or any idea that it could end up with me being in a full-time position with the Boston Bruins.
This conversation has changed and evolved in the 8 years that I've been doing sports talk radio now. When I first started, it was, will men respond to a woman and how will a woman get their attention and all that kind of stuff. And again, it is dissipated from that to where we are now. But is that something that you ever thought about of how am I going to get these guys to buy into what I'm saying? Or is hockey just hockey and we've come a long way since then?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at all concerned about it. But I do think hockey is hockey, and I have faith that the Bruins hired me for a reason because I have the knowledge and the skill set to do this. And at development camp, it was very clear that the prospects respected me. They were really excited that I was out on the ice, and so that gave me a lot of confidence moving forward that that's not going to be an issue.
I was involved in a hockey podcast a year ago or so, and I got a chance to talk with Megan Duggan, former Team USA standout gold medalist, and she's in a prominent hockey ops role right now with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we talked about kind of the influx of women in the NHL. Now, do you have any female mentors that you've reached out to about the experience you're about to embark on?
When I was first interested in this job and it was a possibility, I reached out to Megan Hunter, who's assistant GM with the Blackhawks. So she was really helpful and gave me a lot of confidence going into this role. I definitely look forward to connecting with the women in the NHL, and I know that they'll be great mentors and great leaders for me. So I'm excited to do that.
We're talking with Danielle Marmer. She's a Dorset, Vermont native and a new coach now in the Boston Bruins organization here. Hard to believe hockey season is only a month and a half or so away for us from regular season play. She's with the Bruins as player development and a scouting assistant. And you mentioned, doing some coaching in college hockey on the women's side. You were at Connecticut College, a great D3 program for a couple of years. Then you were at Quinnipiac, your alma mater, for a couple of years. It seems like you had a pretty good track going in women's college hockey. Was it hard to step away from that to enter this kind of coaching program with the Bruins? Because it seemed like you were on the fast track.
At the time when I was making the decision, it was a little bit challenging for me. My path was a little unorthodox. Like I didn't just come out of college and jump right into Division I coaching, as a lot of my teammates or other players around the league are able to do. I was at Connecticut College for a couple of years. I really enjoyed that experience because there's only 2 people on your staff. So I had a lot of responsibility and was able to get my hands into a lot of different things. So that was a great experience. And then, I recognized I wanted to get back into the Division I world. And so my coach at Quinnipiac said, I don't have an opening as a coach on my staff, but I do have this hockey ops position open. You can do development, hockey operations, sort of see how a Division I program operates, give you that experience, so that, in a couple of years, you'll be able to go on and be a Division I assistant. And that was the track that I was on. And those were the jobs that I was applying for. And a reason that mentorship program was important for me to be able to prove that I could evaluate players at a high level. And so when it did come up, I was like, wow, I've been working, pretty hard to get some of these Division I assistant jobs, but obviously, it's the NHL, it's a dream. And it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass on.
Talk to me a little bit about growing up in Vermont and your hockey background. What was it like for you growing up? Where did you play? I've talked to Amanda Pelkey a bunch of times before, and she mentioned playing with the boys and then having to go off to a kind of a girls' prep school. Kind of what was your path to getting to a very high level of D1 hockey through Vermont?
Mine was very similar to hers. I played boys hockey. I played girls and boys hockey growing up a bit. And then once I got to 7th, 8th grade, heading into high school, it became apparent that I would have to leave Vermont in order to just play at a higher level and a more competitive level consistently. So I went away to boarding school in Connecticut, went to the Loomis Chaffee School, where I played, and I played for the Connecticut Polar Bears, which is a club team in Connecticut. And so that was sort of my path. I mean, Vermont hockey that's where I fell in love with the game, and I learned so much about it, and that definitely got me my start. I played with Pelkey for a little bit in Vermont state tryouts, and she was always someone I looked up to and a role model for me. So similar to her path, it's she ended up staying in Vermont for that prep school, but I did that same thing where I had to move on to just playing more competitive hockey more consistently.
And as I understand it, your mom ran the town rink in Dorset when you grow up. I have to imagine that played an impact.
Yeah, it was in Manchester, the town right next door. But yeah, Dorset has 2,000 people, no ice hockey rinks. But Manchester, the Riley rink, it's where, you know, I really learned to skate. I learned the game of hockey. I had so many coaches and just people who are part of that experience who have helped me a lot along that path. And I was very fortunate. I used to ask my mom to open up the rink, you know, at 10 p.m. at night to let me go skate. And she was always willing to do that. So it was really fun to have a set of keys to open up those doors whenever I wanted to.
You know, while you didn't play for these programs or coach for these programs, I know you're aware of them through just various jobs that you've had. You know, Norwich women's hockey, which we cover a lot here at WDEV, is an outstanding program. UVM women's hockey had a banner year last year. So it seems like women's hockey in the state of Vermont was already good, and it just seems to be getting better and better. How much does that mean to you?
It's awesome. You know, Sophie Leclaire, she's somebody who I remember watching her play when I was in, you know, middle school and high school, and she was at Norwich. So it's really cool to see her running that program and doing amazing things there. And, you know, Jim Klumer has brought UVM women's hockey to new heights. So I'm super excited for those two and their programs. And I love that Vermont is a hockey state and is proving themselves.
You know, back to your current role, I remember it just came to me now reading an interview with you before we got on the air that you said that you are aware kind of the history you're making with the Bruins being their first on-ice female coach. Is that something that you know, aware of it is one thing, but is it something that you think about a lot?
I try not to think about it too much. I want to do my best because I want this door to be continuously opened and to stay open so that other women can get into it. But, you know, I've said it before, there are women in leadership roles in the NHL, and, you know, not many, but there are a few, and they are making it possible for people like me. And I just want to continue to keep that door open. So I try not to put too much pressure on myself, but yeah, it's definitely a motivator for doing my job well.
Well, I'll get you out of here on this. Every time I have a Vermonter on, I always ask them, what's the first place they want to eat when they come back to the town that they're from? That said, though, I'll amend it a little bit. I'm a total flatlander. I don't make it down to Bennington County too often. And, you know, I'm not from Vermont originally. So I'll just phrase it a different way. If and when I get down to Dorset, where should I be going to check out food-wise?
Gosh, that's a great question. There's this deli, Zoe's Deli. It's right down in Manchester Center and has the best sandwiches. They bake their bread every morning, fresh bread, and just the absolute best sandwich that you could get.
And it's interesting you say that. Obviously, I've never been there because I said I've never been down that way. But as I have found that when it comes to bars, restaurants, food places, the best ones are always named after people. So Zoe's Deli, sounds like a winner.
Yeah, Manchester Center. If you ever come down to Manchester, you gotta hit up Zoe's Deli.
Danielle Marmer, Bruins assistant coach and Dorset, Vermont native. Hey, congratulations. We appreciate it. We'd love to do it again in season. We know you'll be busy, but hopefully we catch up here in a couple of months.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Great interview there. Peter says, awesome interview. Danielle is more than qualified for the job. Great hire. Paul gives a couple of thumbs up on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. Very cool interview, and seriously, a great, a meaningful hire, a historic hire, and I don't pretend to know everything about hockey, but Danielle Marmer certainly seems qualified for the job to me. She went through kind of the Bruins fellowship program for an entire season, so she's been around the organization. She's learned about the NHL game in particular and how it works, and I'm rooting for nothing but success. We won't see her at the NHL level an awful lot, she said. She said she'll do the on-ice work with the Providence Bruins, and she'll be doing some scouting and video work of Bruins prospects, but you never know where it's going to go. And, you know, I give her a lot of credit, too, for stepping out of a track that she was on. She was clearly on the fast track in women's college hockey. She had coached on ice for a couple of years at Conn College and the NESCAC. She had coached at Quinnipiac and been a part of a D1 program there. She could have had a job at some school, I'm sure, this year if she wanted to. She chose to step away from that, go into this fellowship program, and now is in the NHL. And now, once that door has been open, every door is open to you. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We'll get you the Red Sox lineups after the CBS News update. And I'm going to say something that may have sounded crazy months ago for the Red Sox. I don't think it's so crazy now.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Tom Foti in Washington. The federal judge who heard arguments over ex-President Trump's request for an outside arbiter to get involved in the FBI search of his Florida home promised a written decision in due course. It has not come due yet, but the case has resulted in more information about what was seized. Correspondent Stephen Portnoy takes a look.
A detailed inventory of what the FBI took from Mar-a-Lago, just now unsealed, shows agents found documents labeled top secret, commingled in boxes with news articles, books, and articles of clothing. Of the more than 100 documents marked classified that were seized, 27 were pulled from the former president's office. Former Attorney General Bill Barr now says he can think of no justification for Donald Trump to have such documents at Mar-a-Lago, and any notion that they had been secretly declassified would amount to abuse and recklessness.
Now to the ongoing water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. It is not new, but it has gotten worse due to recent rains and floods. Correspondent Elise Preston is there.
Heavy rainfall and flooding last week placed a strain on the aging system, exacerbating long-standing issues with the city's infrastructure. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell told CBS's Nora O'Donnell that the Army Corps of Engineers is among the agencies inspecting Jackson's water infrastructure.
We have to focus on what the future is going to have to be, right? How are we going to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
With some key travel costs dropping a bit, plane tickets and gasoline among them, a lot of Americans are taking advantage and are on the move this Labor Day weekend. From very hot Los Angeles, KNX's John Baird.
LAX are projecting more travelers this weekend, 56,000 more than last Labor Day.
So the busy day started on Thursday, and we'll stay busy until about Monday or Tuesday next week as people really stretch out that last weekend of summer.
Travelers won't let the high temperatures and still higher than usual gas prices get in the way of a good road trip.
About that heat, there is plenty of it in Northern California, too, and throughout the West, Southwest, and Mountain States. In Florida, it's a bit cooler, but the hope is clouds don't get in the way of tomorrow's planned second try at test launching that new Artemis moon rocket.
They've got a 2-hour launch window. It's a little bit better toward the end of that window than it is at the beginning. Overall, generally positive, 60% go at the start, 80% go at the end, and somewhere in the middle, they've got to find a spot where all the conditions line up and they can launch.
CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood. That launch window opens about 2:15 Eastern time tomorrow. Actress Jane Fonda says on Instagram she's been diagnosed with cancer. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma has begun chemotherapy. Fonda describes it as very treatable. She's 84 years old. This is CBS News.
The Dell Technologies Labor Day event is here. Up to 48% off Vostro laptops with 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Upgrade by calling 877-ASK-DELL.
How well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you 1 full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by Poly Construction, Gregory Drive, South Burlington. One call does it all. In the Garden with Peter Burke. Live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com.
Want to go out for lunch on Saturday?
What? A day off? No errands? No recycling?
Nope. We're celebrating summer and going to the 51st annual Mad River Valley Craft Fair. You know, the one we go to every year in Waitsfield with the fabulous mountain views and excellent shopping.
Oh, yeah. They do have a great food court. And aren't there also door prizes? I might have to relax with a cocktail and listen to music while you shop.
Ah, yes. Maybe I can find you a new wallet. Plus, we need a housewarming present for our new neighbors, maybe a framed photograph. I love seeing those gorgeous handmade items up close and meeting the artists. Let's shop locally and start on our holiday list, too.
Okay, I'm in. Let's just try to go midday so we can catch both bands.
Deal.
the 51st Annual Mad River Valley Craft Fair, Labor Day weekend, September 3rd and 4th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Free parking, $5 for adults, activities for kids, 12 and under get in free. No pets, please. Supporting the nonprofit Valley Players Theater. MadRiverCraftFair.com.
On the Labor Day special from CBS News Radio, we'll look at the unofficial beginning of autumn and ask, why do we even have seasons? Most planets don't. Of course, we'll take a look at labor and why unions are making a comeback, why some employers are encouraging a 4-day work week, and some jobs like teachers and truckers just can't find enough workers. I'm Gil Gross. Join me here for the Labor Day special from CBS News Radio.
Monday from 9 to noon on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox Rangers, 5 minutes from now. I've got what I think probably used to sound crazy idea for the Red Sox, but I don't think it's so crazy now. I am willing to potentially give Christian Arroyo an everyday job next year. I like Christian Arroyo. Christian Arroyo, to me, is a good player. Underappreciated player. 3 for 4 last night, 3 RBIs. When your big boppers didn't get it done in the 4th inning, Arroyo saved the day. Or Chris Arroyo was hitting 5th yesterday, or 6th yesterday. I like Christian Arroyo. If it shakes out in a certain way, I'm willing to consider him as my full-time second baseman next year. Now, look, make no mistake. Goal 1 is still re-sign Bogarts, have Trevor Story at second, and Arroyo can be my roving utility guy. That is still goal number 1. But if Xander Bogaerts leaves, I am willing to consider Christian Arroyo as my everyday second baseman. And I don't think we would have said that in 2020. And I don't think we would have said that in 2021. But if Bogaerts leaves, I'm willing to consider that. The Red Sox got to spend a lot of money, right? They cannot spend everywhere. If they want to bring back Bogaerts, great. If they want to bring in Trey Turner or Dansby Swanson to replace him, fine. That would force Arroyo out of an everyday job. Okay, fine. I'll live with that, of course. But if they choose to not spend that money at second base and they want to go, hey, we're going to get Aaron Judge and Justin Verlander. Well, now we can't afford a high-priced second baseman. Okay, Christian Arroyo. If they want to spend in the outfield and go get Mitch Haniger and Michael Conforto, and they want to bring in Carlos Rodon, and we can't spend at second base anymore. Okay, Christian Arroyo. To me, Christian Arroyo can be an everyday player. And I'm willing to give him that runway if the roster shakes out in a certain way. Bogaerts and Story are my first choices in the middle infield. But Christian Arroyo should not be overlooked as a possibility. Couple more texters saying they love the Danielle Marmer interview. We appreciate everybody who listened. Appreciate Danielle joining us. That full interview is already available on our podcast channel. As soon as she got off the air, boom, it was up. Game 2 of this Red Sox-Rangers series. This one feels like a night where the Red Sox are going to roll. Red Sox should roll. You got a team in Texas coming off a debilitating loss last night. Dallas Keuchel's on the mound tonight. Remember Dallas Keuchel won the Cy Young a couple years ago for the Astros? Well, he's been absolutely horrific this year. 2-8 with an 8.84 ERA right now. This is his third team, right? He was White Sox, Diamondbacks, and now the Rangers. He's been absolutely awful. Marcus Semien leads off at second. Corey Seager's at short. Nathaniel Lowe is at first. Adolis Garcia, who homered yesterday, is in right. Jonah Heim is the catcher. Leody Taveras is in center. Cole Calhoun, the DH. Ezekiel Duran is at third. Bubba Thompson is in left. Tommy Pham's in left to lead off for the Red Sox behind Nick Pivetta. Alex Verdugo in right. Verdugo, great day yesterday. Xander Bogaerts at short, Rafi Devers at third. Nice to see him break an 0 for 24 slump yesterday. JD Martinez, the DH. Trevor Story at second. Kike Hernandez in center. Christian Arroyo, my guy, first base. And Connor Wong does the catching today. Good to see Connor Wong in the 9 spot. We need a long extended look at him. Here's the plan for next week. Remember, Labor Day on Monday, early Red Sox baseball. There will be no Brady Farkas show on Monday. We'll be back at it on Tuesday, and then it's hard to believe it'll be our first chance to talk with Bob Sosi, Patriots broadcaster. When we come back on Tuesday, it's game week for the Pats as we get you ready for week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. Have a great first Friday of high school football. If you are a fan of high school football around the state, go get them on the gridiron. Anyone who's playing, we got games tomorrow as well. We'll recap them all next week too. Go Sox, everybody.